things back to the key issue that Vlad has convened us to discuss, which is among the cosmist set of values, the perspective that we're viewing as cosmism. I mean, how can we best help the world to see the value of these values? I think it would be interesting while we're videoing ourselves if each of us would say for like 1 minute, 2 minutes, what do we think is cosmism? What are the cosmist values actually? Because we've been talking about cosmism a lot, but whoever's watching this video probably doesn't know what the hell it is. Huh? You can start since you've convened us.
We will after tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll give a lot of rambling about it tomorrow.
Briefly, the cosmism is it's a philosophy of future technology. It's a philosophy where we're going to live in a different reality in the distant future. It's a philosophy of the post-humanity, so because we are not probably the best possible creature in the universe, so it should be some kind of a next step, transhumanity and post-humanity, and we try to find out what's the value in the post-humanism. The cosmism suggested by the word of the cosmos will be connected to the cosmos. So we're looking for big pictures where we should find our own place, how we're gonna influence the cosmic evolution. I believe we can influence, not we, but our next generation, distant generations, because we're part of the big pictures, and eventually we will be super intelligent life if we can reach this condition, which big questions. Life is pretty rare in the universe, and super intelligent life is probably even more rare. We have some chance to be super intelligent, but we have a long way to go. So my vision is a little bit maybe too long, too far away, but that's give you comfort of the big pictures and where you have your part in the big picture, to give you some kind of a confidence that you belong the huge stream of intelligent life in the universe. And ultimately, I believe the super intelligent life is even responsible to create the new universes, not directly, but maybe indirectly through the information and the processing some types of physical information.
It's okay. It is a problem with you too. Yeah, to me, cosmism is a fairly broad philosophy. I was inspired by the Russian cosmists and also by many other forward thinkers throughout history. I could summarize my view of cosmism in terms of the three values: joy, growth, and choice. We can look at the universe as a whole for a long time, have been evolving toward greater and greater growth, with more and more complex forms evolving, humans being one amazing example. And we have more ability to experience joy, arguably, than a worm or a rock. We also have more ability, in some sense, to exercise individual choice. And we are not the end point of cosmic evolution. We are an amazing stage in cosmic evolution, in the sense that, on Earth at least, we're the first creatures able to consciously reflect on and think about creating the next stage of evolution, whereas it happened sort of automatically and unconsciously before. But after us are going to come amazing new stages of evolution, more intelligent than us, more able to grow rapidly, more able to experience joy, and able to make many choices that we're not able to make. And looking at human life as part of this broader process of cosmic evolution and finding meaning not only in what we are, but in the process of growing into something greater, better, broader, more compassionate, more joyful, more intelligent, more broadly growing. I mean, this is a way of finding meaning in life, which is different than the traditional religions, also different than scientific materialism. And I think this is almost the only way people are going to have to make sense of life, the universe, and everything, once we have AGI, mind uploading, brain-computer interfacing, cyborgs, all the amazing technologies that are going to unfold during the next century.
I don't want to be very specific, I don't see Cosmism as related to a particular technology or a particular form of social organization. To me, Cosmism is a beautiful and inspiring thing very far away, taking hints from Vlad. I have something very far away in mind. Something very far away of which I am a little part. As a Cosmism, I consider myself as a small part of something big. This something big being our species, which is evolving in the universe and with the universe to become something so greater than what we are now. That's my vision of the world, and the reason why I think it's important to find ways to communicate Cosmos to the world at large is that I find joy, happiness, hope, meaning in our ideas. That's what I mean when I say that our ideas can make you feel good. I think feel good is important, and we should help.
Pursuing happiness.
Better than the alternative.
That's right.
Happiness is perhaps the single most important thing. I think we can help many people on the planet, actually billions of people on the planet, to find happiness. That's what we should do.
I tend to see myself as more of a transhumanist than a cosmist, and I'm very new to all of this. But my view for a long time really has been that I'm a scientist, so I believe in the power of science. I believe in the power of reason and logic and technology and mathematics and engineering to transform our world. So I believe that we have a power to understand the universe, the power to understand ourselves, and now for the first time to transform ourselves in a way that we've never been able to do before. And I think that we should do that in a way that makes us happy, that is progress, that improves us, that makes us better. And I think we should also do it in a way that's not violating human rights, that takes into account important issues and values like freedom, and so I tend to be more of a short-term prognosticator when it comes to the future. I believe that it gets very difficult to sort of speculate about what's going to happen as you go farther and farther out. So but I do believe that, let's say, in the next several decades, or at least within the next century, that you can have some reasonable accuracy in saying what types of technology will develop. Maybe out to maybe 30 years, something like that, 20, 30 years. But beyond that, I'm a little hesitant to speculate because it starts to get a little more into fiction and less into science.
How do you think people's belief systems will evolve and their practical philosophies of life will evolve in the next century as all these technologies unfold?
It depends on how they evolve and what they evolve into.
What do you think are the biggest possibilities?
I think increases in intelligence are likely.
Up to which point? Increasing?
Up to about his level. I mean, beyond that, you can't really go any further.
If you're just talking about human brains, there's definitely limitations. But if you're gonna, if you're talking about distributed cognition, and you're gonna use neural prosthetics to connect to other intelligent machines, then the ability level goes way beyond that. So it depends on what the technology.
What kind of philosophy of life will it being 100 times as smart as us have?
Do you believe that humanity will go?
I think we have to be open to the development of new values, because at that point,
it's like asking a monkey what values will a human being have, right?
Right.
You imagine a bunch of monkeys espousing the philosophy of post-apism. I mean, they're thinking about going beyond being apes, but they're not going to really foresee all the ramifications of human culture. So.
And we are in the same situation, I guess.
Yeah, or worse, actually, because we still have 95% the same DNA as a chimp, right? But I mean, the superhuman AI that evolved out of us may have no DNA at all. So it's going to be
to me, that
very
argument
far
shows
this.
You actually how little genes determine behavior.
Yeah, actually, I don't know. We actually are like chimps, pretty much. Food, sex, and violence. I mean, that's most of what you see on TV.
Here's a big difference between us, monkey, and what we can speculate for the future. We have one common ground for every future intellectual being. We sharing consciousness. No, consciousness is a key word.
Yeah.
So a monkey doesn't have a consciousness.
Monkey
so,
doesn't have
how do you know
consciousness.
that?
Yes, it does.
No, they.
Sure it
they
does.
well,
My
at
dog
least
has-
it
my
doesn't
dog has
show us.
consciousness.
Yes, but the level of the consciousness is probably less than yours, right?
By some measures.
And some
What does-
I would actually
If
argue
we-
that animals experience
What does
certain things
level of
more
consciousness
intensely.
mean?
Yeah.
Level of
I mean, the
self-awareness.
intensity of
If the God is
experience may be greater
they
for
don't
an
have a
animal.
self.
I don't know.
I agree with Ben
Well,
there.
hard to
Same
say.
thing I was saying. An animal is much more in touch with his surroundings than a human
Their
being.
surroundings, but they don't have themselves picturing themselves in a social environment.
But
So
that-
we have our.
Oh, yes, they do.
They do
Oh, they
actually.
do.
Yes, they do.
They do. What they do- what
What
they
about
don't-
dolphins
the
and
social
herd
structure?
animals?
Yes, they have a social structure, but not that complicated.
Dolphins
like
is
the
probably
human
more
structure.
complicated than primitive humans.
So the
actually.
humans,
Yeah.
why we have a self-awareness so sophisticated, because we can be ourselves in many different levels in the same time. So
Well, our
That's only-
cognitive,
that's only in
our
New York.
cognitive consciousness is more developed. I mean, you have to say what are the abilities of these different animals, and I think their consciousness is tied to their cognitive abilities, right? So we have language, for example, so we can be aware of things that are linguistic in nature, right? We're capable of reasoning in certain ways, so we're aware about those things that are products of that.
That's
Those
right,
rational
but
projects.
That's exactly.
right?
That's a
But
circle
if an
that
animal
humans
can't,
make.
if an animal doesn't have language and it doesn't have advanced cognitive
They're not
capabilities,
capable for language.
Then,
they're not capable. For
they're not right. So their awareness is going to be
Animals
about
have their own-
emotions
they have
and
their own
about
kinds of
perception
language, but this is
and
Animals
about
are-
the
So
things that
that's
they
makes
perceive.
this
very
limitation. So
capable.
they're not
I-
aware of music. They're not aware
It is a
of
limitation,
art.
but I would argue
Not
that it's more
art.
intense for
They
what
don't
they
have a personality.
perceive.
So it makes
So,
some
but
kind of
before we
personality.
turn the camera off, which will happen soon, does anyone have any interesting thoughts about how to spread cosmic thinking throughout the
That's
universe,
very
throughout the world of
important
human
question.
animals in which we're
It
existing
is.
now?
So my idea is very simple. We should create the global society of the cosmists. So the new idea will come so automatically. So we have a people. We're going to have opinions. Probably we're going to have some kind of digital magazine where we can spread the ideas and kind of a publicity, increase the publicity, participate in the conference.